During the Industrial Revolution, new ideas, new creations, and new inventions caused new jobs to open up, creating opportunities for normal people from the countryside to create things that usually only skilled tradesmen could make. The new machines that caused all this to happen usually came at a drastic cost. People who worked with these machines worked long, tiring hours. They were paid very little for the amount of work that they did, and often had to work in very confined spaces. When the new factories were built, they were often located in cities, which led to the migration of people from the countryside to an urban landscape to find jobs.
India has the most child laborers in the world, and according to the census of 2001, there are 12.59 million child laborers in India. There is an estimate of 400,000 children between 7 and 14 years old that work for 14 to 16 hours a day. The jobs that they do are often dangerous or are bad for them in other ways, like threatening them emotionally or mentally. Like we read about in Boys Without Names, the work they do is often repetitive and menial, or they are made to work as servants for very little money. There have been several cases where children working in people's homes and have been beaten or starved.
Poor people lived in small houses in cramped streets. None of the homes during the Industrial Revolution were built with bathrooms, toilets, or running water. You either washed in a tin bath at your home, with the water being collected from a local pump, or you simply did not wash. Houses were often built with the cheapest materials available, which was usually Welsh slate. Most houses were back-to-back houses, which meant that the back of one house joined onto the back of another. They only had windows on one side. Conditions did not improve during the 19th century, as a number of public health acts were introduced covering things such as sewage, sanitation, and imposing some necessities while constructing homes. On the other hand, rich people such as the newly rich or the nouveau riche lived in very big and well-sanitized homes with big gardens. Well-off people lived in very comfortable houses. To us, their homes would seem overcrowded with furniture, ornaments, and knickknacks. However, only a small minority could afford this comfortable lifestyle.
Just like in the Industrial Revolution, your living conditions can vary drastically depending on your wealth. If you are poor, there are huge slums with open drains and no proper toilets or bathing facilities. If you are wealthy, however, people live in giant mansions outside the city or in houses as big as city blocks. Less expensive hospitals are also in a bad condition. They often do not have the best doctors and aren't that clean.
During the Industrial Revolution, only 20% of all children were in school. 20 years later, that number increased to half of all children between 5 and 15 years of age. While this is a large increase, it was still far from where it should have been.
20% of children in India are not in school and can't read or write, and there are 370 million children between the ages of 1 and 14 in India.
There are many similarities between life in India and life during the Industrial Revolution. In our documentary, we went over a few of these, such as child labor was present in India and in the Industrial Revolution. If a person was poor in the Industrial Revolution, they would live in a house made of Welsh slate. And if a person is poor in India, they live in a slum. In both cases, people don't have proper toilets or bathrooms. On the other hand, if people are rich, they live in big houses out in the country where it's nice and clean.